common one. And if you want to connect your on-premise data center to the Azure data center, you'll create what is known as a site-to-site IPsec VPN tunnel, or just a site-to-site connection. And what this essentially does, it creates a network inside of Azure where we can actually plug in our environments, where we have to have a router that supports this. So we do require a piece of hardware on premise that supports the IPsec VPN tunnel, which, by the way, folks, there's a list up on our websites that shows you all the routers that are out there, but most modern day routers will have this component built in. It's just a matter of you configuring it and turning it on the actual router. But once that connection is there, once we have that environment, we are now connected to our Azure environment. We're now connected and we can pass traffic. And if you think about this graphic for a moment, notice I have Active Directory and DNS on premise, but I also have Active Directory and DNS up in the cloud. What does that mean? What did I just provide my Active Directory environment? First off, people that log on to your network, they're going to log on to on-premise. But what if that on-premise AD is not available? Then where will they be able to go? To the Active Directory in the cloud. And how does it work? It works just like our regular Active Directory. How do you install it? Just like you install your on-premise AD. So from that standpoint, we don't really care where those servers are, but they provide that additional layer of protection. So from a disaster recovery standpoint, I essentially have that Active Directory environment up in the cloud for us via a simple IPsec tunnel. And I'll show you where this is configured in just a minute when we hop into the demo. But imagine that. It's that simple to connect my on-premise network to the Azure network, and I can get all kinds of hybrid facilities using just the built-in networking components. The other one we have, and this is more for management, when you want to manage your Azure environment and configure the servers that are in that environment, you can create what is known as a point-to-site VPN. And this allows your actual clients on the networks to actually be able to connect and manage it as if they were road administrators. I mean, think about it. Unless it's a really hot day, how many of you actually go to your data center to maintain and administer those servers? Probably not often. You probably do it remotely off of a Windows desktop and you remote into that server. Well, that's all a point-to-site VPN is, folks. It's our ability to remote in and manage that Azure network and manage all the servers that are on that network. So we have so many capabilities that once we connect to it. Now, one last thing related to how we look at hybrid networking and how we look at this particular scenarios for remote access. When you stand up your virtual machines inside of Azure, that's Hyper-V. Those are Hyper-V images that we have. The best thing about this is if you take a look at the picture here in the CloudNet and the Windows Azure environment, I have some web servers and I have some SharePoint servers. Well, maybe I don't want those SharePoint servers to ever be, I don't want them to be in the cloud right now, or I want to move them out of the environment. You don't even need the IPsec tunnel necessarily to do this, but we don't lock you into our cloud. If you want to move your environment and move them out of the Azure environment on-premise for whatever reason, you can. These are your servers, folks. It's just a matter of you waiting to download those. They're just VHDs. They're just Hyper-V files. And if you have a Hyper-V host on-premise, guess what? You'll be able to bring those servers up online. We don't lock you into those scenarios. It's up to you. Remember we talked about, yeah, we think about the cloud first here at Microsoft, but we also think about you first and foremost. Even though our products are designed like this because customers like yourselves are telling us you want to do these things, it's more important that we give you that control and flexibility to solve the problems the way you need to solve those problems. The other scenario I want to take a look at briefly at, because we're going to see this in demo, and it's kind of important you understand some of the legwork that was done behind the scenes, is backup. Backup is actually pretty easy to do up into Windows Azure. You can use this for Windows Server 2012, 2012 R2, or System Center 2012 or System Center 2012 R2, and specifically with System Center, it's DPM is the product that we currently support, or Windows Server 2012 Essentials and the ability to back it up. Those are the only products we currently support. But how do you work with this, folks? It is so super easy. You first sign up on Azure. You get your Azure account, and by the way, there's a free 1-month trial for it's basically $200 of credit up into our Azure portal that allows you to leverage and give this a try. But you basically sign up. You download agents. Hey, does this sound familiar? What do you do when you back up your own environments? You download those agents to actually work with and save those environments. After you download those agents, you'll register your local servers with the cloud and you'll actually register a certificate as well to make sure that we have secure communications, also to make sure that we talk to your location, your specific subscription that's up in the cloud that's there. And that's the big part of the setup. And once we do that, then it's a matter of us just setting a policy And the policy is just a typical backup policy. I want to back up this folder, this file, and this directories on this day of the week or day of the month, this time, and I want to back it up this frequency. That's it. We're basically setting up the backup schedule and what locations and files we're actually going to back up. We then simply back up the data, either via schedule. You can also just do a quick backup and it'll automatically back up the data for us to use and leverage. And then the great thing about this, just like many backup scenarios that are out there in the day, all this is locked away in Azure. So what if I were to lose my server or I need to recover the files? So there's a couple choices you have here, my friends. You can actually either recover it to the same server, to the same location, or to the same server in a different location, depending on what you want to do. Or what if that server is not available? Maybe that server did have a fatal crater. Well, what you could do is bring up another server, install the agent on that other physical box, and bring back that recovery down to an alternative server. Now, you might be thinking, well, Matt, you just gave us a lesson inside of backup. In a sense, I did, but where's the location? The big difference here is we're actually going to Windows Azure Backup, specifically locations known as the Backup Vault. Very, very easy. And I'm going to show you what this looks like. And you're thinking, Matt, you're just showing us a backup demo. Remember, don't lose anywhere in this translation where my data is actually being stored, being backed up to, and being recovered from. So let's take a look. And in our demo, we're going to take a look at a couple of concepts. I'm going to show you the basics of just some of the network and the point-to-site VPN and the site-to-site VPN, where those are configured inside the Azure portal. And then I'm going to show you a real live recovery of some documents that are in Azure and show you where that backup portal location is. Well, let's take a look at my demo environment here. And currently I'm logged into my Azure portal, and I'm just on the All Items. So I see everything that's currently inside my portal, from some virtual machines, like I have with Dallas One, to my different cloud environments. And notice if I click on Dallas One, it takes me there. I have my backup vault, which we'll take a look at in just a moment. But one thing that I don't have